One America's Emerald Robinson has the latest on the president's first State of the Union address. Good afternoon, Emerald. So what can we expect from the president's speech on Tuesday?
Yep, it's that time of year. It's time for his big State of the Union address coming off a big couple days in Davos, Switzerland. And actually, our One America's John Hines has been talking to lawmakers on the Hill all week about what they expect to hear from the president's address. Let's take a listen.
Tax cuts since 1986, perhaps the largest in our nation's history. Lowest unemployment rate in 17 years. Wages going up. Every day we see another announcement of some company announcing either cash bonuses or wage increases. There's a lot to talk about.
So the Senator David Daines from Montana talking about how he expects the president to talk about the state of the economy with unemployment at just over 4%, Elma, the lowest since 2000. The S&P rose 18% in the first 11 months of President Trump's presidency. The Dow is at a record-breaking 26,000, and the economy is expected to grow at nearly 3%. And of course, a lot of my economist expert friends, I have a few of them, say that if conditions are just right, we might see even greater than 3% growth in 2018, which would be amazing. And of course, there's things that the lawmakers want to hear and hope to hear the president talk about during his speech. And one lawmaker, Senator Marco Rubio, had this to say.
Obviously, the issues before us on immigration, infrastructure, defense funding, and also about the state of play in the world, how he views America's role in the world, the achievements of the last year, and the road ahead.
So Senator Rubio mentioned infrastructure. That's something we heard the president talk a little bit about during his retreat at Camp David, where he met with Republican leaders and planned his 2018 agenda. That infrastructure will be part of it. But we didn't really hear him mention the specifics of this plan, and that's something we've talked about the last few weeks. We do expect to hear during the State of the Union address on Tuesday. It's expected that the president will give us more details about what exactly he plans as part of this infrastructure plan he campaigned on. And as you recall, Elma, the president campaigned on a $1 trillion infrastructure plan. However, he told mayors who met with him at the White House this week that they might see a little bit more as part of that plan, hinting that maybe as much as $1.7 trillion. So that's a big part of what we expect to hear on Tuesday night. Also, immigration. The White House did unveil their plan for immigration on Thursday. It was met with some criticism from Democrats, even though it lays out a pathway to citizenship for 1.8 million undocumented immigrants. So we can expect to hear more about that from the president. And of course, Elma will be bringing you feed from that live. We'll have some of our correspondents live on the ground to keep you updated on the President's State of the Union. Elma?
So, Emerald, following the president's address, who did the Democratic Party choose for their response, and what can we expect for their reaction that night?
So, Elma, they chose a very interesting person to give their rebuttal. It's something that historically they do every year, the party that does not hold the presidency. This year, the Democrats have chosen Congressman Joe Kennedy from Massachusetts. Now, why this is a little bit interesting is because some Democrats felt that leadership missed the mark on picking someone like a woman to do this response, to elevate a woman in this position, to give a woman a platform. So some were a little disappointed, being that, he's from a very powerful political family, not, something not diverse. And it's interesting that they chose Congressman Joe Kennedy, but they do feel like he's a rising star, potentially going to run for senator in the future and maybe even a presidential bid down the line. But what can we expect to hear? A lot of times these rebuttals fall flat. It's a very hard speech to give following the State of the Union, and there's been a lot of times in the recent years that they've fallen flat, or even the person giving the rebuttal has been made fun of, as was the case of Senator Marco Rubio, actually. Also important to note, in response to the President's State of the Union, ahead of even the address, some Democrats saying they're going to boycott it altogether, but that's kind of the usual suspects that you expect. John Lewis, Frederica Wilson, and a couple others that tend to go against the president pretty regularly. So it'll be interesting, Elma, to see exactly what the president has to say and then how Democrats respond. But I'm sure we won't be disappointed that there will be some fireworks. Back to you.
We can use your help. Call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call today.